Let me tell you a little bit about Erik Prince because, we Americans have very short memory retention span. We really do because we are overwhelmed 24/7, 365 with all kinds of bullshit that the advertising agencies and corporate America just tries to drill into us. And in that process of drilling, it leaves us unable, to a great degree, unable to retain anything. It's just a constant flow of bullshit information, most of which is designed to make you terrified unless you buy a certain product. Because that certain product, I don't give a shit what it is, medicine, a new car, a house, a pair of underwear. If you don't buy the product, something very bad will happen to you. So we don't retain a whole lot. So let me go back about Erik Prince. He was the founder of Blackwater, of course, and a number of his employees were charges against them were either dropped or they were pardoned. Blackwater employees had the habit of gutting people down in the street, especially those people were causing a traffic jam in Iraq. Oh, just shoot the fuckers dead. Anyway, Prince was, in 2011, Erik was invited to Moscow by the Russian Federation. And this is all according to Wikipedia. The Russian Federation requested that Prince build something similar to Blackwater in Russia. In other words, an internal terror organization, which is what Blackwater is. Prince trained and drank vodka with the Alpha Group. That's the group whose special forces are part of the Federal Security Service, the FSB, which is a replacement for the KGB. Also, Prince leads a private equity firm called Frontier Resources Group, and he was also chairman of Frontier Services Group, which is a Bermuda incorporated logistics and transport company listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Frontier Services Group is backed by a Chinese fascist state-owned group called CITIC and a Hong Kong-based investor named Johnson Chun Shun Co., with the Chinese government listed as the largest investor in Prince's organization. His ventures advise and support, don't laugh, Chinese investment in oil and gas in Africa, among other things. The New York Times reported in May of 2018 that Prince arranged a meeting in August of 2016 in Trump Tower that was attended by Erik himself, the coke-addled little fucker Trump Jr., George Nader, and Joel Zamel, during which Nader reportedly told Trump that the crown princes, plural, of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates were eager to help Trump Sr. win the election. And Joel Zamel pitched a social media manipulation campaign from his Israeli company, Psy Group, PSY, Psy Group. Prince had stated in his November 2017 testimony to the House Intelligence Committee that he had no formal communication or conflict, official or unofficial, nothing, with the Trump campaign. And asked about this fucking lie, Prince replied in March 2019, quote, "I don't know if the committee got the transcript wrong. Not all the discussions that day was transcribed, and that's a fact," end quote. This Nazi fucker acknowledged for the first time in March of 2019 that he had, in fact, attended that Trump Tower meeting in 2016, and he asserted that he was there to, quote, "talk about Iran policy," end quote. New York Times reported, there's a reason I'm sharing all this with you, so bear with me here, okay? New York Times reported in March of 2020 that in recent years, Prince had recruited former intelligence agents to infiltrate, quote, Democratic congressional campaigns, labor organizations, and other groups considered hostile to the Trump agenda, end quote. And Erik's organizations were reportedly, or his efforts were reportedly conducted to assist Project Veritas. Remember that? A bunch of psycho fuckers, widely discredited, that was described as disseminating, quote, coordinated disinformation due to the repeated use of deceptively edited videos in attempts to discredit Democrats, the media, liberal groups, unions, whoever. And until mid-2018, a guy named Richard Seddon, a former British spy, headed the field operations for the Project Veritas plots and trained operatives in Wyoming at the Prince Ranch. Prince also reportedly arranged for Project Veritas employees to receive intelligence training, which ended when the trainer quit because the group, quote, wasn't capable of learning, end quote. Yeah, it's hard to teach gorillas how to do anything except, eat a banana. Anyway, Prince continued to support Project Veritas after the organization's failure to disclose to state regulators the criminal conviction of its founder, James O'Keefe. Remember that rancid fuckhead? So that resulted in the revocation of their charitable organization status in multiple states and caused other donors to withdraw their financial support. Charitable organization. This is a fucking hit squad. This is a Murder Incorporated gang. And then in May of 2021, the New York Times reported that Project Veritas, with the assistance of a former British spy and Erik Prince, secretly surveilled government employees during the Trump administration with the goal of discrediting the critics of President Trump, former President Trump. And the tactics used by Erik and his gang included arranging dates for FBI employees with the intent to record the dates and then blackmail the FBI members. The operation failed to record a single official doing any of the shit that Erik and his bully boys had set up to entrap them with. In April 2020, The Intercept, the investigative journal, reported that Erik had offered his services as a subcontractor to Russia's Wagner Group. Remember them? That was the group that invaded Bucha in the initial stages of the attack on Ukraine and raped, murdered, beheaded, killed, burned civilians. So Erik, seeing a soulmate in the Wagner Group, offered his services. Going to help him. And then an investigation by Rolling Stone and the New York Times showed that Erik's interests in the Wagner Group were its activities in Mozambique and Libya, and he suggested he could provide aerial surveillance platforms and a ground force. Further investigations conducted by the United Nations and an internal report released by them revealed a number of connections between Erik Prince and a murderous warlord in Libya named Khalifa Haftar. I mean, it just goes on and on. If you want to read a real goddamn horror story, Go to Wikipedia and look up Erik Prince. And by the way, he spells his name E-R-I-K. And what you will find will curl your toenails and your hair. Now, why is this important, what I just shared with you? Well, Politico is now reporting that circulating amongst the Nazis who work for Donald Trump is a plan calling for a series of processing camps, and a private citizen army. And all of this will be led by, you got it, Erik Prince. So, what Politico had to say is that this group of prominent military contractors, including Erik Prince, has pitched the orange-faced monkey on a proposal to carry out mass deportations through a network of these processing camps on military bases. Erik is also offering a private fleet of 100 airplanes and what is called in this report a small army of private citizens empowered to make arrests. Are you following me on this? I mean, yeah, this is where we are. Now, the blueprint, according to Politico, laid out in a 26-page document that the Orange Monkey's advisors received before the inauguration, carries an estimated price tag of $25 billion. And the blueprint also recommends a range of all sorts of aggressive and illegal tactics to rapidly deport 12 million people before the 2026 midterm elections, including some people that would likely face legal and operational challenges. That's according to a copy obtained by Politico. The people who would be trying to do this would face legal challenges. Now, the group, which includes some former immigration officials that at one time had taken an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, that group is led by Prince and a guy named Bill Matthews, who's a former chief operating officer of Blackwater. That's the military contractor known for its role in all kinds of weird shit in Iraq and Afghanistan during the so-called War on Terror. Remember the War on Terror? Politico goes on to say that the emergence of the proposal marked unsolicited, that's what was stamped on the cover of this thing, is indicative of the major hurdles the administration faces as it tries to find resources to fulfill the Orange Monkey's ambitious deportation agenda. The document itself says, according to Politico, deporting 12 million people in 2 years would require the government to eject nearly 500,000 illegal aliens per month. Jesus Christ. It goes on, to keep pace with the Trump deportations, it would require a 600% increase in activity. It is unlikely that the government could swell its internal ranks to keep pace with this demand. In order to process this enormous number of deportations, the government should enlist outside assistance. This is the part that is. This is the part that, to me, is. I wanted to say reminiscent, but it's only what I've read because I wasn't alive during the time of the rise of Nazism in Germany. But this is indicative of how closely fascists, I don't care where they are, they can be in China, Russia, or Washington, D.C. This is how closely they all follow the fascist playbook. You have to operate outside the government with a huge army of bully boys. Mussolini had the black shirts with those funny little fucking hats. Hitler had the brown shirts until the leader of the brown shirts started to get a little bit too big for his brown britches, and Hitler had him offed, and then became the secret force became the SS. So every fascist son of a bitch has to have his private execution force, his private army, so that he can operate outside whatever constitution might be in existence in the country where the fascism is beginning to rise. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.